So I'm going to show you how to update your RSNav. I know that there's already some videos and walkthroughs out there that show how to do this, but none of them are as complete as they should be. So I'm going to give you a complete walkthrough on how to update your RSNav. So in order to update your RSNav, you download the update file, throw it onto a USB stick, plug it into your RSNav, and you update from there. Now, in order to do that, the first thing that you need to check is your USB stick. The USB stick has to be formatted in a certain format in order for the RSNav to be able to use it. So the format that you want is either FAT32 or extended FAT. So you want to check if it's in one of those formats. If it's not, then you're going to change the format. So I'm going to show you first how to check. So I have a USB stick that's already plugged into my computer, and this is a 64 gigabyte USB stick. So I have my computer opened right here, and you can see the USB stick is right here. It's plugged in. So to check what format it is, you can click on it, do a right click, and then you go to Properties. And so right here, File System, is where it says Extended FAT, EXFAT. So this is acceptable for RSNav. Daniel Kim from RSNav has said that Extended FAT works as well. I know their instructions say specifically that it has to be FAT32, but Daniel has said that EXFAT works with it as well, and I've actually used it before and it does work. So if you're using extended FAT file system USB stick, then you're okay. But let's say that you really need to use FAT32. For whatever reason, you need FAT32. So you can change that file system, no problem. And what you do is you right click on the USB stick, go to Format, and then this is file system right here. You get a drop down, and this is where you can change it. Now, the reason why FAT32 is not listed in this drop down is because FAT32 is only available for USB sticks that are 32 gigabytes in size or less. So anything above that will not be available. So if you have a 2, 4, or 8 gigabyte USB stick, you'll have that option to format it into FAT32. So you'll simply come in here, change it, and you'll be okay. You'll just select FAT32, and then you just click Start, and it will format it, and it'll tell you that it's done. But if you have anything bigger than 32 gigabytes, then you won't get that option. But we can still get there. So what you have to do is you have to shrink the capacity size of the USB stick. You have to shrink it to something like 32 gigabytes or less. So to do that, we're going to use the application that's built into Windows. It's called Disk Management. It's somewhere in the control panel, but I'm just going to search for it. So if you go to search, type in Disk Management, and it's already here. It's this one right here where it says Create and Format Hard Disk Partitions. So you click on that. And so this window will give you all of your hard drives, your external hard drives, SD cards, USB sticks, pretty much any removable or built-in memory is listed here. So if we go back to my computer, you can see the letter that's assigned, the driver letter that's assigned to my USB stick is F. So if we go back to Disk Management, you can see it's right here, F. This is the USB stick. It's disk 1, and we can see that the memory is the same that we saw in my computer. So this is the memory that's allocated to the USB stick. And so what we have to do is we have to shrink it. And in order to do that, the first thing you do is, and before we actually continue, this process right here will delete absolutely everything off of your USB stick. So if you have anything on there that's important that you need to keep, take it off of there, because everything will be deleted and you won't be able to get it back. So just so you know. So in order to shrink, we first have to delete this partition that's here, that's been created. So to do that, you right click on this space right here, and you go to delete volume. And this is warning you exactly the same thing that I just said, is that everything will be erased and you won't be able to get it back. Do you want to continue? So you say yes. Okay, so now you see that the partition was deleted. It's unallocated right now. So now it's not accessible anymore. It's been taken offline. So we have to create a smaller partition now. So you do, what you do is you click on the space again, right click, and go to new simple volume. Go to next. And we're going to shrink the size. This is the available size, which is exactly the same, almost the same as here. We're going to shrink it to 32 gigabytes. So we're going to type in 32,000. So 32000. Next. You can leave everything here as is. Next. And then you want to select the file system, FAT32, which is what you want. And this option is available just because we shrunk the size to something manageable. So you do next, finish. So now you can see the USB stick is shrunk to a smaller partition. So this blue block right here is what's available, and then this black one is unallocated, so it's not accessible. Right now it's not being used. So you're only using half of the stick right here, approximately 32 gigabytes. So now you can see it says FAT32. So just to verify, if we go back to my computer, you can right click on the USB stick again, properties, and you can see now it says FAT32. So that's what you want. And again, FAT32 or extended FAT will work with at least with the S3. I'm not sure about the S2 or S1s, but S3, both of those formats will work. Okay, now that we have our USB stick in the proper format, we're going to go ahead and download the update from RSNav. So you want to go to rsnav.com, and on the left side you want to go to wiki manual/guide, and so that will take you to the RSNav wiki. Right on top here you just have some basic information. You have the information on the S3, the S2, the standalone system, and then the S1. So we're working with the S3 right now, so we're going to go back up here, and then on the right side is the S3 software updates. So you click on that. You have some basic information up top that we just went over. Then when you scroll down here, this is where the updates are. So step 1 is to update the Android system, which is also called the USB update on the S3. Step 2 is to update the MCU, and then step 3 is to update the factory configuration, which is the XML. So one of the confusing things that I was unsure about when I did this for the first time is under each section you have a link, and I wasn't sure if you need to go and download the file under each link. But soon after I figured out that each of these links takes you to exactly same site. So it doesn't matter on which one you click, you just pick one and click on it, and that will take you to where the updates are for the S3. So click on that. And then depending on which screen size you have, if you have the 8.8, you're going to go into this folder. If you have the 10.25 or the 12.3 inch screen, then you're going to go in here. So I have 10.25, so we're going to go in here, double click on that, and then here is where the update is. So this is always going to be the most recent update, and then this is the log that shows you what was changed for each of the versions. So if you want to read up on what was changed, you can open this. If you ever need a previous version, you go into this archive folder. If you go in here, here are all the versions that were previously released for the S3. But the most current one is always going to be here. So we're going to download this. If you right click on it, you get this menu, and then you click download, and that will download it for you. I've already downloaded, so I'm not going to do that. But these files are pretty big. Typically they're anywhere between a gig and 2 gigabytes, so it's going to take a few minutes for it to download. Okay, so I have the update downloaded right here. So these downloads are always zipped, which means that they're in a compressed folder. You have to uncompress them before you can use it. So I'm using Windows 10. Windows 10 comes with a decompression tool built into the system. So in order to decompress the files, you right click on it and then you go to extract all. If you're using like a Mac or anything other than Windows 10, you can download a program called 7-zip that will be able to extract all the files for you. But for my setup here, I am using Windows 10, which already has this, so we're going to use the built-in system. So once you click on extract all, click extract, and so now it's decompressing the files, and you just wait until that's done. Okay, so now the decompression is done. Okay, so once we have the files downloaded from RSNav and decompressed, we're going to put these files onto the USB stick that we have properly formatted. So my USB stick is right here. I'm going to go into it, and I'm going to open the update files that we decompressed. And in here you have 2 folders. You have the MCT, which contains the XML file, which is the step 3 of the update, and then step 1 and 2 are contained in this update folder right here. So it's very simple. You just take these 2 folders, copy them, and place them onto your USB stick. And then once those are moved over, that's pretty much it. So just as they sit in that zipped folder, that's the way you want to copy them. And then don't rename the folders, don't create any other folders. You want to exactly place them just like this on your USB stick. So when you go into your USB stick, if I'm in my computer and I go into my USB stick, this is what you want these files to look like. You want to have a folder called MCT and a folder called update. If you do it any other way, your RSNav is going to complain that it can't find the file, and you won't be able to update it. So make sure that you place the folders exactly how they are in the update file that you got from RSNav. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to do the update on the S3 device. So the very first thing that you always want to make sure when doing the update is make sure that your car is on and running. And what I mean by that is that the engine is actually running. You don't want to have just the accessory on, because these cars, the radio, the stock MMI, turns off by itself at some point. And if you get in the car and you're dicking around and you decide to do the update and the car turns off the radio on you while you're updating, you're going to break the device, and then you won't be able to use it. It will not be usable, and you're gonna have to remove it, send it back to RSNav in China, and they'll have to reprogram it directly, and then they'll have to send it back, and that's not under warranty. That's a user error, so that's going to be on you. So definitely make sure that the car is on and running during the whole time that you're doing the update. Okay, so once you're ready to do the update, the next thing that you want to do is you want to take your USB and you want to plug it into your S3 unit. So I have my USB cables in the passenger footwell right here. So both of these cables are right here, and so what you want to make sure is that you don't have anything else plugged in. I have another USB stick plugged in that I use for music. So I've actually had issues where the S3 unit was confused as to which device or which USB stick I was using. So you want to make sure that you remove anything temporarily while you're doing the update. Take your USB stick with the update and plug it in. Okay, so once you have your USB plugged in, you're going to go back to your RSNav unit, and you'll probably see a message pop up from the File Explorer. You don't need that. You can just press cancel, and then from here you're going to perform the update. So you have to perform a total of 3 updates. You're going to do the USB, the MCU, and then the XML. So to get started, you're going to go into the settings. So if you have the MIB3 UI enabled, you just click on the gear in the left bottom corner. If you don't, you can also access it from swiping from the top and go into car settings. Then you're going to go to System, version information, and you're going to start with the USB. You also want to do that first, so you select USB update, and then you press the check mark button. Once the update is done, you'll see the unit will restart, and you might also see this, which just says import factory settings. So you want to skip that for now. This is the last step that you're going to perform. For now, skip it. So to do that, this comes up because you have the USB plugged in and the device found the XML file, but that is the last step that you want to do. So for now, we're just going to swipe down from the top, swipe again, and go back into the car settings. You're going to go back into the system view, and so now you want to do the MCU update since the USB update is done. So you're going to go back to the version information, and now you're going to click on MCU update. You're going to click the check mark, and now it's doing the MCU update. So this one shouldn't take as long as the other one. This one should be pretty quick. Okay, and now the MCU update is done. Alright, so once you're done updating the MCU, you want to perform the last update, which is importing the XML file. So that's what this screen is all about. Once the unit restarts, it should go back to this. So what you want to do is you're just going to press this button. This is actually a button. So once you press it, this update goes very quickly. So you press it, and that's it. And it already imported. And so now it's asking if you want to restart. So this is the step that Daniel came from RSNav is always warning everybody not to restart it. So you don't want to restart. You want to click on the X that you don't want to restart. So now it went back to the import factory settings. So what you want to do is you want to go back into the car settings. So you're going to swipe down again. Going to go to car settings, go to system, and then you want to go to factory settings, put in the password, which is just 1314, okay. And then you want to go to car mode, and you want to make sure that the correct car is selected. So in this case, it is selected. I usually change it to something else and then go back just to make sure. Usually when you do that, that means that it's going to rewrite the settings. So this is just a check. So it's correctly selected. So I'm going to go back to my main menu, and at this point I'm going to restart the device. So go to apps and press reboot, and it's asking you if you want to reboot. You click OK. Now the device is restarting. Okay, and so I actually have the USB still plugged in, so I'm going to unplug that. And I'm just going to go back to home. Okay, and if you go to version information, you can see that it was updated to 2021-03-08, which is the date this update came out, so it's done. Now, if you don't perform the last step correctly, meaning after you import the XML file and you forget to select the car again in your settings, or for some reason it doesn't work correctly like it should, if you didn't do this step right, you might, when the device restarts, you might see some lines, you might see a black screen. I've actually had that happen before to me. So the screen was actually black, and I was having a hard time figuring out how to fix that. But it actually is pretty simple. What I did was I swiped down, and I was able to see this. I was able to go in here, go into the system, and go back into the factory settings, and I was able to actually set my car. And last time when this happened, car mode was actually set to none. So that's why that's why the screen was black when I restarted. So I simply went in here, made sure that my car mode has the correct vehicle selected, and then I restarted the device again. And when it came back on, everything was okay. So just a tip in case somebody encounters that. Now, if you're trying to do the update and you get something like this, this means that it wasn't able to find the update file. That means that either you copied it wrong or you placed it in the wrong directory. So you want to go back to the beginning and make sure that you actually placed it correctly on the USB file, because the device is not able to find your update, or make sure that you have everything unplugged from your other USB cables. So just a tip in case you encounter something like this.